Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Laura Ashley Abraham. And I'm Connie Smack. And together we are the Michigan Medium Angels. I'm just teasing you. I'm so sorry, but my counterpart, Tinkerbell, is not with us today. So she's with us in spirit right now. She had stuff going on. So I just figured I would add a little bit of humor today. She has a lot on her plate, as have I in this last couple of weeks. So we haven't really been recording a whole lot as much as we wanted to. We really were trying. And I felt it was important to kind of share what was going on with you guys. She's okay. Everybody's, we're okay. It's just we have a lot in our personal lives. So she is dealing with her daughter's graduation, which is really fun, but there's a lot of details, a lot of things that she has going on. She has to take care of for that. And we are planning on doing more videos coming up. But I have a personal story that I want to share with you with something that's going on because I feel that it would be really helpful and beneficial for everybody. So thank you so much for everybody being patient. We really appreciate you guys, letting us know how much the videos mean to you and watching all this time. This is day 56 and we've recorded that many videos right now through this whole quarantine process. Today is June 13th, and I think we're going to release this June 13th, 2020. I think we're going to release this tomorrow, which would be Sunday or Monday. And then Connie and I, again, we're gonna keep doing videos, but we're probably not going to do as many as we have been. And we're going to come up with a different scenario that we're going to let you guys know on how we're going to do things going forward. So if there are topics, again, please go to our Facebook page on the Soul Healing Center 444 and let us know if there's things you want us to talk about, if you have questions, because that helps give us content too of what you want to hear and we can answer your questions that way. So throughout the process, again, we've been recording different videos and I had a situation recently and I just want to give a caveat. This one is going to be a little bit of a deeper subject, and I would just caution if you have children around, this isn't appropriate for them. The other day, so just, if you guys need to pause the video, if you have kids around, do that, or put earbuds in. As a lot of you know, I'm going to give you a little bit of background. I have abuse from my background. So I have emotional, physical, and sexual abuse from my dad. And also there are other people that were, that I had sexual violations from because of that, which is very common when you do have sexual abuse. So when I was younger, which is actually what I talked about in my book too, which is one of the reasons that I wrote the book, because I want to be able to help people in healing. This video is not just about abuse. This video is going to be about things that come up that are unexpected and how to handle that, having a traumatic event, whether you have something in your life that has been difficult to deal with and you don't, some life happens. We have things happen in our lives that we're not expecting. And I had that happen to me this past week. So that's why I want to talk about this. And I will get to that in a minute, but I do want to give a little bit of background. So I did write a book, which a lot of you know. It's called The Keys to Your Higher Self, and it is a guide to healing and inner peace. It's available on my website at lauraashley-abraham.com. And basically, it is a channeled book, and it is a book that I channeled after, well, actually, I started channeling it, I believe, before even. So this is back in 2010 when my spiritual experience happened. And I know a lot of you know this, some of you know the story, so I'm not going to go through it all, but I want to give some background on it. In 2010, I had my spiritual experience in April, and I connected with my guides. It was like I had all of this knowledge and information that came forward. And so I started channeling my book, and I connected with my guides, and I started communicating with spirit, and I was delivering messages. And it was just, there was so much wonderful and positive things that were happening and things that were coming through for me. And being able to ask questions from my guides and learning all of that. And then in October, of that year of 2010, I had some traumatic sexual abuse memories come back from my childhood that I had repressed. And I found that it's very common for that to happen when they're very traumatic. People will repress them for a long period of time, which is what I did. And my abuse memories that came back were from my dad. My dad had molested me from a very early age, pre-verbal, until I believe I was approximately 13 years old. So again, I have talked about this partially in detail in the book. And I am now in the process of writing another book called Heart Healing, and I am working on meditations that will help people, because I really want to be able to do that. That's the whole point of me sharing my story, is so that I can help other people through any kind of trauma, any kind of heart healing. It doesn't have to be abuse, but a lot of people do have abuse in various forms. And a lot of people have difficulty with relationships, with heart healing, and you can have such a deep wound that it takes time to really work through that layer by layer and heal that. Not always, I would say that, you can heal that very quickly. But there are situations that take a lot longer healing, because I believe you have past lives that also have a contributing factor to that heart healing that needs to take place, which is the case for me. So in this situation right now, it was my sister's birthday last week, and we celebrated a day early for her. We had gone over there, and I was getting ready to leave, and I was driving back, and I had gotten a phone call, and I decided not to answer it because I was busy. I had stuff going on. We were driving back home, and I figured, you know what, I'd check it later or think about it later, because I was still doing things and I had things to take care of. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I didn't answer the phone call, and it didn't occur to me till the next morning. And I thought, you know what, because I never got a message that came through on my phone. And so I ended up checking, and there was a voicemail in the morning, the next morning, which was my actual sister's birthday. And the message was from a neighbor of my dad, that they had found him on the floor of his residence, and that they were going to take him to the emergency room. So let me back up for a second. Since 2010, I have not had any contact with my dad, and he's still alive. At the time when I got that voicemail message, I didn't know what was going on or what was going to happen. But again, backing up for a second, in my past, when my memories came back, I ended up confronting my dad, and I went to his house and I said, I remember what you did. And he denied it, and he told me that I was crazy. And at that point, I pretty much lost it. And I had always intuitively felt like everyone had blamed me. And that's why I lost it at that point. I couldn't take any more blame being put on me. And I told him, I said, you know what, if I will never speak to you again until you admit what you did. And I have not talked to him since that day. So I get this phone call, and I'm like, oh my God, what do I don't know what to do. It's been 10 years since I've talked to him. It's been 10 years since I've seen him. And I called my sister, and I said, this is the situation. This is what's going on. What do we do? So we didn't know what had happened. We didn't know if he had ended up in the hospital, and we had got a hold of the neighbor, and the neighbor said, yes, the EMS had come and gotten him the day before. And they had taken him to the hospital. And so I called the hospitals. At first I couldn't find him. I found out where he was. We got a hold of a nurse, and they said that he had had a stroke, and that he was very confused, and that he had, I forget how we found this out, but he had been laying, I think maybe, anyway, I'll get to that. So when the nurse told us, a little bit detail about what was going on with him, she said, we'll have to have the doctor get back with with you, but do you want to talk to him? And my sister was on the phone with me, and I said, I don't know what to do to my sister. I said, what do you think? And she's like, let's just talk to him. She's like, I can do the talking. So I said, okay. Now, anybody that has any kind of abuse, it can be very triggering for anyone and in this type of a situation. I mean, you don't know what you're going to do. I didn't know. I always thought about or envisioned or imagined if somebody had called me and said that something had happened to him. I always had this picture in my mind, of what would I do? And the only way that I would ever go see him if he hadn't admitted what he did or apologized would be that in my mind, I had always thought that as long as he couldn't get up, as long as he couldn't come after me, as long as he couldn't come near me and touch me, that I might go and say goodbyes if the time came to that. So that's kind of what I had always maybe pictured or envisioned. And again, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I have done a lot of work on this, and I am very much in a really good place. Up to this point, I have been in a very good place, and there's triggers that will happen periodically. Father's Day comes up. I've pretty much worked through that, but I see somebody with their dad, and if that makes me happy to see that. It makes me happy to see really good men and really good dads out there, because our world needs that. Needs more of that. We all need to be good. We all need to do our best. So, I think I didn't really know what to do or how I was going to react and respond in this situation. And so I really had to take it moment by moment and figure out, how do I feel? How do I feel, and what is going to be best for me? So my dad gets on the line, and I'm just listening, and his voice, is slurred, and, he's talking to my sister, and he's confused. He's trying to figure out what's going on and what's happened. And he says, I can't find my wallet. I can't find my keys. And he says something that was interesting. He said, I was at a resort, Laura. You were with me at a resort. And I thought, that's interesting. He kept saying, I haven't seen him, so I was not at a resort with him for sure. And he was saying things like that. Well, it turns out he had been on the floor actually for a couple of days. And he had been trying to get back up, and he had fallen. And he had said that he fell the one time on his hip, and he thought he broke his hip, but he didn't. It turns out he didn't break anything. He had a lot of rug burns, I guess, because it sounds like he was trying to crawl or something on the floor. And when the neighbor found him, they said that he didn't have any clothes on, and they actually found him by the front door. It looks like maybe he was trying to get to the door or something. I'm not sure. That's what the neighbors were saying. And luckily they checked on him, because they had seen like the lights hadn't been coming on or whatever for the last couple of days. So anyway, that's how they found him. And when he was talking, he was very confused and he didn't know what was going on. So I was just, listening, and, I wanted to make sure that he was okay, because I just felt like that was the right thing to do. I felt like it was the right thing for me to talk to him. It didn't feel like I was being forced to do that. It didn't feel like anybody made me, or I should. And this is what this video is about today. Really, this is why I wanted to do this, because at times this may get emotional for me. I'm really not sure how I'm gonna be, because it has been really difficult this past week, last couple of days. Feels like it's been a week. So I want for all of you to know that if there is a situation or a person in your life that, unexpected, this is an unexpected situation, something happens and something comes up, how are you going to respond? And what are you going to do in that moment? What do you do? And I've had a couple of these throughout this situation, and I'm sure this is going to continue to go on for a little while here. I have asked myself, what do I want to do? What do I need? And what's going to be best for me? And my sister's been very understanding about what's best for me. It's brought us really close, and we've both been really trying to support each other through this because we're both trying to navigate it. She hasn't talked to him either. And I want everybody to realize and think about, when you have, again, a situation, what should you do? There's no should in this. Somebody else may do something completely different. Somebody else may say, no, I'm not going to talk to him. But for me in this situation, again, I've done a lot of healing, and I felt like it was the right thing for me to do, to talk to him that day and make sure that he was okay. And it was really interesting because when we talked to him and we got off the phone, I got really emotional, and I realized I felt so much guilt. And I was like, logically, I know I shouldn't, let me go with the shouldn't. Having guilt in this situation, logically, I know that I shouldn't have guilt. But him being there by himself and nobody knowing that he has fallen, he doesn't have anybody in his life. He doesn't have anybody in his life because of me coming forward and me saying what happened and me telling the truth. And at least that's how it felt. And I know that it's not my fault, and I know that my sister has made her own decisions. I know that other family members have made their own decisions as well. But it made me feel guilty for not, I don't know what I should have done or could have done. And I would never choose to do anything different. I have done everything the best way for me to heal. And this is where healthy boundaries come in. Me having any communication or contact with him would not be a good thing for me. Up to this point, it would not have been, and I wouldn't have done it. But it still made me feel so bad that he was alone and that he didn't have anybody there. And so I had to work through that guilt, and that took a little while, that day and the next day. And he said, he didn't have anything. So the nurse said that he needed some clothes. So my sister and I had to go to his house, and that was triggering. Okay. So all of these things, it's like, oh my gosh, what do we do? There's no one else in his life. He doesn't, we thought he had somebody in his life, but he doesn't. So really it's on us, or we could have chosen not to do it, but I didn't feel like that was the right thing to do. So I just kept listening to my heart. I kept truly going within my heart to listen to what would be best for me to do. What would I feel good about? And what would make me be able to be okay? And for me to know that I did my best and that it was good for me to do. So, and then I wouldn't regret it. And so each one of these moments are things that I'm having to really take time to evaluate and think about and figure out, what do I do? What feels good to me? And it was only a few moments. It's like I talked to my sister, what do you want to do? I think we should go to Dad's. I think we should go get him some clothes. Let's go see if we can find his wallet. Let's go see if we can find his keys. Let's see if we can find his phone. And so we did. We went over there, we got some stuff, there were some dirty clothes. He lives really as a minimalist, so he really didn't have anything for me to bring to the hospital. I brought a couple things, but it was obvious that I was going to need to go shopping. So, we cleaned up any food that was out on the counter and got rid of that, took out his garbage. And I ended up, just going up to the hospital and going and dropping the clothes off in his cell phone. And then, I wasn't able to go in, and I wouldn't have gone in. But anyways, went back to the car, and then I kind of had another little bit of a breakdown, I had to process that too, because it's just like all surreal, trying to process, trying to understand what's happening. How am I supposed to feel? What am I supposed to do in this situation? And again, I kept just going to my heart and saying, you know what, you're okay. You're going to figure this out. You're okay. And just breathe, just take a moment and breathe. And you're not going to do anything that's going to be detrimental to yourself. I'm talking to myself, because when you have something like this, there's been no one else. I'll give you an example. For me having the abuse that I had as a child, there was no one there to protect me. There was no one there to keep me safe. So now I have to be that person. So I have to be that person that says, these are my boundaries. This is where I'm at. This is what's okay for me. And I have to nurture and comfort myself when I get scared. So it's like you have your grown-up person and your younger person. And I have to have that discussion and that talk. That's what gets me through this. And that's what's gotten me through all of this. Plus communicating with my angels and my guides and saying, help me, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Gabriel, Shamuel, Uriel, all of them, help me through this, help me navigate this, show me what do I need to do, what's going to be best for me. And so I went to my car, and I sat there for a little bit and I just cried, and I'm like, that's okay, go ahead and cry, do what you need to do to process this. This is an unusual situation, Laura. Nobody can tell you what is going to work for you and how to handle this. Just take it moment by moment and you're going to be okay. So I just kept talking to myself like that and saying, it's okay. You're all right. You got this. And ended up going back home, and I ended up trying to remember all of the different things that have transpired. Talked to my sister again, and we realized we had talked to the nurse. We finally got a hold of a nurse because it took them like a day and a half for them to tell us what was going on. So it turns out they moved him to a regular unit, so he's not in the ER anymore, and he can I could bring him, more. I think he needed more clothes. Well, it turns out he's going to be going through physical therapy, and he's going to be there for like 7 to 10 days is what they said. So that gave my sister and I some time to process and to figure out, okay, what do we have, what do we need to do here? And I needed to go get more clothes. So I did. I ended up going and getting a bunch of stuff at the store. And then I had to go back to his house because he needed shoes. I forget what else he needed. I had to find like a duffel bag or something too. So anyways, so I did that, but I lived in that house, and I was there when I was a teenager. I lived there. And so there's pictures throughout the house, of me and of my sister and of our children. And that in and of itself is difficult to handle. There's a picture that my ex sent him of my kids, knowing he is a child molester. And my ex sent him the picture anyway. So that was all going through my mind, and I'm trying to process this, and I'm like, seriously? And there was a letter on the table that I found that my dad had written to my sister for her birthday, because my dad still sends birthday cards. I returned all of the ones that he sent me. He sent me them for like 5 years, and I just returned them, return to sender. And my sister ended up still keeping like somewhat communication, but he would send her birthday cards. And so he had this one that he was writing, and in the letter, we didn't read it the first time because we didn't have time, that we were trying to do too many things. So in the letter, it says he had a stroke. He writes, I had a stroke on the 4th, June 4th. And he wrote some other things in there too. I had a doctor's appointment or whatever. And he was talking about, in there, if something happens, would my sister take care of him? Well, previous to this, she had said, you know what, Dad, she had written him a letter. Well, apparently he never got it, or he says he didn't get it. I don't know anymore. But anyways, we recently told him, we'll make sure that you're okay. My sister has always been, this whole time has always been, if something happened, she thought he knew this, but she's like the executor, or she would take care of his medical needs. They had discussed this when my memories came back, basically, and throughout the years too. So I'm not sure if there was just confusion or what the issue was, but anyways, she's the one that would be in charge of all that. So there's just a lot to consider in that, and a lot to think about. And what do I feel comfortable with? You know, when he gets out of rehab, then what? What we need to find somebody to help to take care of him. Can he take care of himself? Is he able to think clearly? You know, do we need to be, you know, making medical decisions? So all of these things are just going through our heads, and we're just trying to figure all of this out and what to do. And I had to go up to the hospital again because I had to go drop off his clothes and stuff. So this time I had to go through the regular entrance, which I had to actually go up to the floor. I didn't know that I was going to have to do that. And there was the room number, and I get up to the floor, and it's like, you know, room whatever, number 01, and then his room number was like, had an 8 in it or something. This is like, I'm walking down the hall, and I'm thinking, please don't let me pass his room. Please don't let me pass his room. I'm not ready to see him. I just want to drop off the clothes. And I see the nurse's desk, and I see a nurse up ahead, and I'm passing the rooms, and I'm like, oh, please. And luckily, I think it was like 6, so I didn't end up getting to his room. His room was going to be around the corner. And I just was like, breathe, Laura, breathe. You can do this. And I gave her the suitcase, and I said, you know, this goes to my dad. And she said, you know, his room is right around the corner. And I said, I can't. She said, you could go visit him. You know, you can go drop it off. I'm like, I can't. I was so afraid she was going to say that, but I didn't know what I was going to do or say when she said that. Until that moment, I didn't know. And I'm like, I can't, I'm sorry. I don't remember what else I said, but I just said I couldn't. And I said, here, you know, here's the stuff. Everything's in there. Shoes should be good for, you know, a few days. I think it's like 7 days. I think I packed so much stuff in there for him. T-shirts and whatever. And I turned around and I just started bawling. That was so hard because I thought, what do you do in that moment? Potentially, it could be, he could have another stroke. I don't know if he's going to be okay. I still don't know if he's going to be okay. Sometimes when people have strokes, they have multiple strokes, and he couldn't remember and was very confused. And I just thought, what if I never have the opportunity? What if I have let the opportunity go to potentially say goodbye? That was hard for me. But I knew in that moment that that wasn't going to be the right thing for me. I knew that I couldn't see him at that moment. I couldn't. Going forward, I don't know. Again, I'm going to take it one day at a time, and I'm not pushing myself. I had so many things forced upon me as a child, and I refuse to let guilt or shame or what I should or shouldn't do have me make any decision in this situation. I'm going to do what is best for me and what I feel is best for me in that moment, and no one is going to change that. And that felt really good because that is me standing up for myself and taking my power back. And it was hard because I could see the nurse's eyes, you know, she has the mask on, but I could see in her eyes I'm sure, I don't know if it would be judgment or if it would be curiosity, or I'm sure she understood, and I'm sure she's had that before. And that's why I'm very careful not to judge other people, because you don't know what's going on in their lives and you don't know the situation. And I felt that she understood, but still I could have let her look make me feel bad and guilt me into going, because I should do it. But I didn't, because it was not the right thing for me and it wouldn't have been good for me. And I knew it. And so I did, and I honored my needs and what was best for me in that moment. That's why, again, I'm doing this video, is because I want you to do that. I want you to know that you get to do that in all moments. It's not about anyone else. With something like this, yes, there are times where, you do need to go do things. You do need to go to events, and you need to show up for the people that you love. You need to be there. But this is different. This is where your boundaries, setting healthy boundaries, come in. And this is where you figuring out, what do I need and what am I going to be okay with? Can I handle this? And in that moment, no, it wasn't the right thing for me. And no, I couldn't handle it. And that's why I chose to turn around and honor myself. And I did. I cried, it was very difficult and emotional, but I got back in my car and processed my emotions that night. I had a client and I just couldn't deal. I couldn't do it. And so I had to cancel, but that's okay. I honored what I needed in that moment too. And so in the last, couple days, I've had to really process a lot of this and work through it and figure out, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. We really don't know. Right now, we have no idea, my sister and I. We don't know how he's going to get, if he's going to get better, how he's going to get better, how his physical therapy is going to go. But I had told my sister, I can't talk to him again, because we've talked to him a couple times now, I think 3 times. And in the first conversation, we did say, I love you. And that was very emotional for me. But I do love my dad. I don't like him for what he did, but I do love him, and he's my dad. He wasn't all bad. And that's a confusing thing too. So nobody can, again, I cannot judge or base what I'm going to do on what somebody else would tell me. And this is where your internal guidance comes in. This is where you listening to your heart and you honoring what your needs are in all moments is the place for you to make all your decisions from. So what works, for my sister, that's great for her, but that may not work for me. So I'm just taking it moment by moment right now, and we will see how it goes from here. I have been listening, to meditations. I've been trying to make sure that I'm staying calm, and then I was very unsettled, so I did a lot of yard work. I started doing a lot of cleaning around the house, which was really good too, so that's a good one. That feeling of that unsettled and that it's partially anxiety. So I've done tapping as well. That's one I know I talk to everybody about all the time too, the Tapping Solution. They have that free app that you can download and do tapping. For me, that's like in an emergency, and I definitely used tapping, but getting outside, pulling weeds, going for walks, all of that stuff has really, really helped me a lot. And I would definitely, recommend those things to you guys. And I am, like I said, working on my heart healing book. I'm sure that this story is going to be in there, and that's probably why I haven't finished it. See, you don't know. I let my guides and my angels show me the way, and they let me know what needs to get done with my book, and I just trust them. Connecting and listening and taking time to meditate. For me, meditation is really, it can be connecting. It can be listening to a guided meditation. A lot of times I have to do that. I am going to be recording some information from the Seven Sacred Flames book that Connie and I were teaching a spiritual growth class, which I know we talked about this before, but the Seven Sacred Flames, and that we're teaching on Wednesday, every other Wednesday night. So that will be coming up in a couple weeks because we just did that. And there's meditations. We do the meditations in class actually, so I'm actually going to be recording the prayers, and they're like mantras and you can repeat them, but one of them is on peace. So I think that's going to be probably tomorrow's video, so you could listen to that because I know this video is pretty long. But thank you, everybody. I would just appreciate it if you would say prayers for me. I am open to receiving prayers and lots of love. And I will keep you guys posted, and hopefully Connie and I will be recording soon, and we'll be getting some more recordings out. I just wanted to go over a couple things that I had written down to make sure I didn't forget anything that I wanted to share with you. Real quick, I know that sometimes, like in this situation, I do have some family members who don't understand what's going on, and they are, I'm not going to get into it, but sometimes people don't understand situations like this, especially with the sexual abuse. I think it makes people and families uncomfortable. And some people want to pretend like it didn't happen. And some people want to just ignore it and be like, nah, whatever, you know, let's move on. That happened a long time ago. That doesn't work with this type of abuse. And I think that's something that is individual to each person. And I know a lot of people that have to still have contact with their abusers. And I have found that to be very unhealthy, quite frankly. I don't think that that's a healthy thing, but it depends if the person has acknowledged what they've done, and if the survivor, I like to use the word survivor instead of victim, if the survivor is in a good place and is okay with that. But again, everybody has to evaluate their own situations, and figure that out, you know, what works for them. But I just want you to know that any kind of abuse, any kind of trauma, you can heal from it. I am living proof that you can. And there are triggers, there are things that come up, but taking them each moment by moment, and having a toolbox, you know, having your toolbox set, like I said, like I told you, mine is, you know, going for a walk, listening to guided meditations, resting, doing tapping, doing yoga, doing something, gardening. Any of those things are very, very helpful because they get you out of your head and they get you really into like your body. And the guided meditations, they get you to think about something else and to focus your attention on something else too. So it's not that you're ignoring it, but you need to give your mind a break, because I know I was trying to process way too much, and you can't process all of that at once. So I will hopefully share with you in the next video, because this one's pretty long. I'll share with you at another point too, if I remember. Hopefully I will. But I had a dream. That was another thing that kind of triggered me. So I had to really work through that. And it's just taking it piece by piece, little by little, and you can do it, you know, finding the things that work for you and not letting yourself get caught up in the fear, but trusting your guides are with you. Your guides are helping you. They are always right next to you. They're always there. They're always, anytime you need them, call them in, call in your archangels, call in God, call in Jesus, call in Mother Mary, call in your loved ones, whoever you feel that strong connection with, they will be there to help you through anything. I promise they will. Like I said, I'm living proof. I didn't really believe it until I had my spiritual experience, but that's why I am now helping other people, is because I had that, and then I went through all of my my memories coming back, and I had to use my team. I had to use my guides to survive, to make it through, and be able to process those memories, and to be able to live, and to be happy, and to be at peace. And I truly am at peace. But again, in this situation, obviously this, shakes you. This shook my foundation. This made me really think about a lot of things, and it brought a lot of things to the surface for myself. And especially, like I said, with the guilt, I didn't expect to have that emotion. I didn't expect that I would talk to my dad. I didn't expect all of this to unfold the way that it has, but that's what life is like. We don't know what's going to happen. But we do have a support system. We do have a team in place, and you connecting with your guides daily, you connecting with them and saying, hey, I need your help. Show me what to do. Show me what the next step is. Sitting, getting quiet and listening. What do I need to do? What can I, or help me, bring in peace, bring in love so that you feel that. That's what I've been doing these last few days. So anyways, I hope that everybody is doing well right now, and I will let you go. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that it has been helpful, and I will keep you posted. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Magical, I need Connie for this. I'm sorry, guys. A magical day and night filled with peace, love, light, and happiness. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. For now.